Awesome. So I think the recording is started. All right. Today is February 16th, and this is the Behavior Model Work Group weekly call. We're going to start off by just doing a quick review of what we discussed last week. Be able to admit some folks here. All right. So last week, I know that specifically we wanted to just go over the behavior model V2 for SC/PL, and we were going to discuss this today, specifically the 308 pull request. But overall, we were kind of just going through the part that we do have working and then figuring out just that bottom portion, and then also figuring out how to just work through the top part that we were trying to produce. So like this portion right here. But I think it would be good to just kind of start with the first thing, which is just like the pull request 308, unless we have anything else we want to add to the list for PRs to review.
Well, I think Andy's PR is ready to be merged into the P4P DPDK.
Okay.
Would you agree, Andy?
P4 DPDK.
I'm unaware of any unresolved comments. I resolved all the comments.
Add if defs was, I can't read it. Let's
right here, right? Yep. 332.
332. Yep. I think I resolved all the outstanding comments.
I mean, I'm happy to press the merge button. I think it's pretty much ready to go. There's no drama around it at this point.
Okay. All right. Was there any just talking points to be able to go through for this, or Chris is good to go just to kind of merge that on in the coming days?
Well, I can press the button right now unless there's any controversy, because pretty much just testing the compiler at this point, and
Okay.
I think let's do it.
Yeah, I mean to be more fully useful,
all of the sanity checks passed, right? Like we still have compilation working.
Yeah, there's a CI pipeline and it runs the compiler. So this will actually just make it, run every time someone submits code. It's going to compile it as another separate job using the DPDK backend. It doesn't run any functional or unit tests because we don't have a backend yet.
So actually,
but it doesn't break anything.
Question.
That's what.
Yeah, it doesn't break anything for BMB2.
Okay, that's my first question. Thanks, and I'm fine.
Oh yeah, that's the most important question.
I mean, this is we are not cutting over yet. It's just that this option now begins to exist in the system, and PMB2 is still the validation.
Yes.
Yeah, but I mean, like the order needs to be preserved first, not to break something, then to include new stuff. Then we can safely move to the new backend later on.
Yeah, and Myron, that's kind of almost automatic that it runs that check, because what Andy did was put in some if defs and make some minor code changes to support alternate backend, and it runs the same dash CI pipeline as before, so it's always running BMB2 tests with packets going through the pipeline. So
yeah, our regression will continue to be the same as it was before. We want to ensure that we preserve BMB2, we run the BMB2 tests and everything. Yeah. But I think a couple of things, Chris, as part of this merge, after this merge, as you were mentioning, we need to validate those containers that we are basically putting into ACR and download to make sure that you're bringing in correctly, which we cannot test it as part of the PR itself. That's one point. And the second point is basically, I just wanted to make sure that within the CI, we should at least include the compilation of DPDK. And of course, the running is not there, but since we are doing the compilation, we do both compilation with BMV2 as well as DPDK, but we run test only on the BMV2, so as to make sure that tomorrow somebody else checks in any code, they don't break the DPDK, right? That's what my point is.
Yeah, and if it does break the DPDK, at least the PMV2 will continue to work presumably, and we can
No, I want to preserve it. Yeah, I want to preserve the compilation, because the whole idea here is for us to check in this thing that whatever is sitting behind it if tomorrow, like for example, yesterday we reviewed those tags, things, right? All the ACL changes in the P4 code.
Yeah.
So now that is waiting in the wings to be checked in by Microsoft, and once this goes in, once this gets merged in, they are going to basically bring those changes in there. So they'll make sure that, okay, both compilations are done, BMV2 as well as DPDK, to preserve and not break whatever has been done. So moving forward, that if we can ensure the CI catches this thing, that'll be great.
Yes, and that is what's actually this PR will ensure that it will compile for both targets and run tests on the BMV2. And if someone checks in something that breaks the DPDK compilation, we'll find it right away. And
awesome.
Two other points I want to make. Going back one, as soon as we accept this merge, it's going to run in the Dash pipeline, and it will publish and pull the new Docker image. So we'll find out as soon as we merge this if there's a problem there. And there could be a little one, and I'll just jump on it. Sometimes a tag or some typo, some kind of oversight. So I'll just be watching it like a hawk, and if I have to fix it, I will.
Right.
And the other point is, we're not just checking now the DPDK, put that in capital letters. We're also checking the PNA architecture compilation. To me, that's actually more important, right?
Right.
BMV2 is using V1. Now the code base will be running against a PNA architecture, and whether it was DPDK or XYZ backend, it's the architecture we're also verifying, and we're sort of, I would say, elevating this code base to be more aligned with the industry mainstream, right?
Yeah.
So I think that's an important accomplishment. It's not just DPDK.
That is true.
Yeah, that is true. Good point, Chris. And obviously, as we do this, publishing and then pulling the Docker image, I have a quick question on that. That we build these Docker images to build the BMV2 separately, and then there is another one Docker image for doing the DPDK PNA part. However, both of them actually utilize P4C compiler, right? So the question here is, do they point to the same image that they bring it in from whatever the Docker registry that they bring in the P4C? We use the same SHA tag, or is it different?
That's a good question. They're not the same right now. I froze the SHA for BMV2 some time ago so that we don't get surprises. I don't want someone making a change to P4C that seems innocuous and suddenly it breaks our project, right? So it's locked into a certain SHA, and the DPDK, I pulled latest P4C, which I probably should lock that as well. Although that's probably debatable. I just pull latest from Docker Hub. But
yeah, I saw that.
I freeze the SHA for everything else because I don't want surprises, someone side effect, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And that way we have surety. But I guess
we have repeatable way of actually doing it, right? If we always do the latest, then you don't know what's going to break.
No, I learned that a long time ago the hard way. Now with DPDK, since it's not in production, I don't see the harm in leaving it latest. And but I could freeze it. It's just that it's a maintenance thing if we want to keep tracking and update. Since there's ongoing work, what do people think? Should we freeze it? In which case we'd hold this PR just another day. I'll freeze the SHA for that.
The latest P4C should have the DPDK support and all the newer PNA constructs, etc., that are needed here for Dash. So I would say that we can, if something is working, and then we can freeze that SHA, and if there are any new changes at some point as there are new updates that are really necessary, we could update the SHA and try running with the latest P4C at that time. Otherwise,
Okay.
there's no need to move every single time, maybe,
Okay.
as there is a new update.
So I'll
Yeah, I
propose.
think PNA and DPDK both are moving target right now because I see which is a good thing to see that there are a lot of development happening, and then in ongoing basis, right? So there is a lot more activity. However, when you look at the BMV2 and the V1 model, right, it's more like not much is happening, right?
Yeah.
So freezing it over there probably makes sense, but leaving floating probably on the PNA and DPDK makes sense also. But at some point, we may want to converge and say, okay, we want to use just one version of the compiler, so as to have some sort of a parity between the two. Yeah. So
yeah, we could leave it floating for now because then it acts
For
like
now,
it acts like a canary, right? So, in other words, it might break our build, but there's no fallout, and we'll get an early warning. We may have to even alert people on those other projects. Hey,
exactly.
You broke something. Why?
Yeah,
and
exactly.
So maybe it's better to
leaving
have
it.
a canary.
Right. So I totally agree. Leaving it to the latest at this point is totally fine. Once we have it running, and at that point, if we want to, when we switch over or we are actively using it, we can freeze certain shards and then upgrade as needed.
Okay. Well, then that's less work for me today. Works for me. It was a good discussion, though, because there's pros and cons of allowing things to break.
Yeah.
Okay, great. I have to disappear for a few minutes. I'll be back.
All righty. Okay, great conversation there. Awesome, awesome. Wanted to possibly shift gears to this pull request, number 308.
It's still in progress. We had one review and found a few issues, and inbound is not complete yet. So I'm waiting for more guidance from Prince on the inbound.
You said pertaining to the inbound table?
Yeah, inbound processing. There is something that we both don't understand, because service tunnel, as it is described right now, allows to change underlay source IP, and we don't really understand how the packet will, in what form the packet will come back to us, what IP it will carry as a destination. If we changed on the way out, if we change source IP, we don't know how the returning packet will look like in that case.
So you were pretty much mentioning that the packet, it was as if like the packet was leaving and then you changed the destination address, you were saying?
No, so when the packet is leaving the DPU in the
Mhm.
outbound direction, there is an option to change the source IP. Now, what we don't know, how will the packet look like in that case when it's coming back? Will it have that modified source IP now as destination, or will it have the DPU's virtual IP? That's something we don't know.
Gotcha. Oh. Is there
Marian,
anything that we need?
Marian,
Yep.
is this not captured in the HLD?
No, it's not. It's just the option to have the source IP modified, like how the packet looks like on the inbound. In that case, it's not captured, and that's what Prince is trying to actually understand from the team that's using and deploying service tunnel.
Okay, so but let's make sure that we have some either the issue open or whatever be the case, so as to modify the HLD as soon as we have some resolution on this, so we don't we have somewhere to document this thing. Okay. Once we
Yeah, I was about to
understand.
say, I didn't. I was going to ask if we had anything added to the actual PR thread, but you're just mentioning maybe putting in an issue attached to our repo that kind of describes this.
Yeah. At least we know that this is an open issue, and if somebody is basically is looking into getting the answers for us. But once the answer comes back, we are not only just going to put this one into saying, okay, let's go ahead and address this one in this PR and modify the P4 code, but also make sure to document it in the HLD, so as to capture both documentation as well as the code.
Okay, so being able to understand that if we do able to figure out and kind of get an answer back from Prince or whoever, but we also have to create just another task to update the documentation as well.
Exactly. Thank you.
Thank you.
We already do this thing. Yeah, we already do this thing in the Sonic dash HLD or
Mhm.
dash Sonic HLD that we have, that captures the workings of service tunnel and private link and all of those things, right? And it walks through the scenarios. So this is where we need to put this the update. Okay.
Who would be able to kind of create that issue attached to our repo and kind of just make sure we update the ACL, the HLD once we have, we have our answers for the inbound processing.
I'm volunteering you, Yusuf. Can you do that, please?
Okay, got you. I can do that.
Since you asked that question.
Yep.
If you can create that, would be great. So.
Yeah, of course. And then if I be able to create that issue, I'm gonna just show you what kind of draft I have before posting it, and we can add any extra information necessary.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Okay. Awesome. Anything else when it comes to this? We're kind of just at the point where waiting for a little bit of feedback from Sunny. Other than that, any other comments, concerns for this PR? Alrighty.
We will review it. Yes.
Okay, awesome. All right, so taking a look at the rest of these PRs, or any other discussion topics, anything we wanted to cover further? Jump back to February 9th. All right, so it seems like we were able to get to a good point there. All right, so I'm just going to go ahead and take this action item to be able to update our just our task/issues for this, and make sure that we can update the HLD once we have our PR completed here. But if that is it from folks or no topics at the top of our minds, I think we can close out about halfway early. If that sounds good with everybody else.
By me, yeah.
All right, awesome. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and stop recording. And